Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me, Luana Hodges, YBC Youth Building Conversation. This evening, I am sitting down with an amazing fellow who I work with every day, Luke Lorenz. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Luana. You are too kind. Thank you for that introduction. Yes, I'm very happy to be here, very excited. So thanks for having me.
Okay, so let me tell you guys a little bit how I know Luke. We work together. As everybody know, yes, I have a platform. Yes, I have a growing heart for the youth, but my daytime job that I love is finance. I'm assistant controller / HR representative at the Navy League of the United States. So I work with a great group of young professionals. Of course, we call ourselves young professionals. And we do some great work in the community in the United States, across the world, with our councils. So Luke happens to be the director of legislative. He be on the Hill slaying, educating, advocating for our C services. So he has a big heart for just serving. But as we get into our interview, you will find that out. So before we get started, I always ask the person that I'm interviewing to lead us up in prayer so we can get a great interview out.
Okay, absolutely. Dear God, thank you for everything that you've blessed us with. Thank you for bringing us together on this platform so that we can spread the word about some of the important charitable works that we're doing to a wider audience. God, thank you for blessing us and putting us in a position where we are able to help others. Please help us to remember that we all have something to share and something to give, to put that motivation in our hearts every day so that we can take that out into the world and to do the work that you've put us here to do. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. So I always ask the person I'm interviewing, who is Luke Lorenz?
That's by far the most difficult question, and I think it changes every few years. So let me give it a shot this time around. So outside of what's most important to me, which is of course my family, my beautiful wife and I just married 2 years ago. Outside of that, I'd say there are two things that primarily define me. One is just an absolute fascination and love of the workings of government. I don't know if everyone can agree with that, but it still fascinates me to this day. I get so excited when I see a bill become law and legislation moving forward and things like that. So yes, I'm a nerd. You can see that right off the bat. And then the second thing is, I'm realizing more and more the profound impact that we can have at the local level. Ever since I started doing legislative affairs, it's always been kind of national, working with Congress and things of that nature. But I'm starting to learn now just how much we can accomplish by focusing on things that are happening right here in our community. And that's actually what started this fundraiser for Afghan refugees and their families who have recently come to the DMV area. Just how quickly they're getting on their feet, working hard, learning English, learning other skills, getting jobs and all this stuff. And the fact that they just need a little bit of support through this initial phase. I mean, the fact that I'm able to help at all with that is just really humbling and really motivating. And so a big thing that's driving me today is just realizing how much we can do just by looking at our own communities and seeing where the need is. And so that's something that's really become very important for me in recent years.
Okay. Sound like a politician, don't he?
I can't help it at this point. This is just kind of the way I talk all the time. It drives my wife crazy because she can't get a straightforward answer from me, on so many things.
So how has the pandemic, for a couple of past years, we started in 2020, how has it affected you? The past couple of years, we're still in a pandemic. How did it shake you? How did it move you to do some of the things that you want to do on the Hill? Or
Sure. Well, first, let me say that my family has been very, very lucky. We've been incredibly blessed, my wife's family, my family, that we have not had any tragedies related to the pandemic. I know there's few folks out there that can say that. So many people have lost a loved one or something of that nature. So we've actually been very, very lucky in that regard. One area where it's kind of impacted us directly, we got married right before the pandemic, actually, and our honeymoon got postponed until 2021, the summer of 2021. We went out to Hawaii, which was just as amazing as I always thought it would be. One thing I'll mention is another area that we're very lucky is my wife and I had each other throughout the pandemic. We could be kind of our own pod. Some people had what they referred to as a pod, which is people they lived with and they didn't have to worry about exposure and things like that. So we didn't have to deal with the loneliness that a lot of folks have had to deal with and some of the mental health issues. That being said, we were very dormant throughout the pandemic. I wish I had been more aware of what other people were going through. I think there were family members I could have reached out to more, friends I could have reached out to more. I really didn't appreciate what they were going through because I was very lucky. My wife and I, just spent time together, and that was fine with us. In terms of getting back out there and doing more kind of charitable work and things, I think we realize now how blessed we were throughout the pandemic. And so we want to really give that back and help other people now that we're coming out of that. I mean, I just can't say enough that, it took a long time for us to realize the severe impact this had on so many people. Because again, we were just very, very blessed to have each other throughout that. So now we're trying to give back. My wife also does a lot of volunteer work and things. And so it's really motivated us a lot now that things are easing up in terms of pandemic to get back out there and try and help folks.
That's good. That's good. I told you he's a good guy. Told you, great guy. So saying that, can you give me 5 adjectives that describe Luke?
I can do that. The first one, I'm going to be honest. This is kind of a character flaw I've been trying to work on for some time. The first one is impatient. I hate to say it, but it's absolutely true. I think that's probably what defines me maybe more than anything else is I'm always trying to get something done. I want to make it happen, set a goal, accomplish that. And really, I do need to tone that back. I don't think that's actually, it's not the best thing. The other thing is driven, which of course ties into that. Very patriotic, definitely love my country and love the people that are in my country, my American family, all of us across the board. That's something I want to just mention if I can a few times throughout this podcast. I know we're very polarized right now. I know, we're looking at each other and unfortunately just seeing the worst in one another. But I've been across this country. I've met all types of different people. And I'm telling you, we are a kind, charitable, innovative, entrepreneurial, active country full of, just really interesting, amazing people. And so patriotic because I believe in the people of America. And that's what I really care about. The other thing would be, I guess, pretty empathetic. I do care about if folks are going through something, I want to try and help if I can. And then very, very inquisitive. I love to read. I love to talk with people about their backgrounds. I'm very interested in where people come from, what they've done, what their interests are. And so I'm always curious. I'm a very curious person by nature, I guess.
Good. You know what? Most people have a hard time answering that question. So how long? So when I sent over here, how long did it take you to answer that question? Or did it just come to you?
No, all of these questions were very difficult because I'm talking about the subject that I have the most difficulty talking about, which is myself. And I think that's true for a lot of people. Like I said, if these were work-related questions, oh man, like I wouldn't have prepared at all. I would have just been answering them left and right. But no, these I sat down and I really worked on because I wanted to be honest. And I hope I am being honest. I think, starting off with the impatience thing, that's pretty honest.
Okay, so reading your bio, you have always been in the role of service. Do you think you was born to be of service to others?
I think that, yes, I think all of us are. As I mentioned in the prayer starting off, one of the things that I try to keep in my heart all the time is that we've all been given something to share with the world. I truly believe that. Some of us have wealth, which they can share. Some of us have, charisma. Some of us have a platform where they can help other folks like you do. Some of us have energy and determination. I think I'm kind of that latter category. I think that, I just have a good deal of energy where I can get involved in different causes and I stay determined to see them through. So, for example, with this Afghan fundraiser, not only are we raising money to help these folks out, but I want to stay, helpful to them in their lives moving forward. Whether it's English language assistance or help finding a job or whatever the case may be. So that's where I think I have an opportunity to serve and to give back. But yeah, honestly, I really think that's what all of us are meant to do, to find whatever our talent is, whatever our ability is, and to share that with people.
Well, one thing Luke did not mention, he is a veteran.
Yep.
He has served this country. So at what age did you know you wanted to serve your country, and what branch did you serve in?
Sure. So I was in the U.S. Army. And one of the things, as I was answering this question, as I was thinking about how I was going to answer this question, it occurred to me that I never thought of the military as the family business, but my grandfather was in the Army, my father was in the Army. And for me, like just knowing that I was going to serve in the Army is like for some folks saying like, your kid is definitely, this kid's going to go to college or this kid's going to do this or that, for other folks, that's kind of the trajectory that, they're going to go on. For me, I always knew I was going to do at least one contract in the Army because that just was kind of the standard in my family. And it took me a while to realize that, most families aren't like that. That's not like a normal thing. So I guess I always knew I was going to serve. And then I just want to touch again on something I mentioned earlier. One of the reasons that I chose to serve is because, again, I've had the opportunity to travel across the country and to meet folks of different political affiliations, different backgrounds, different geographic regions and everything. And I'm fascinated by our people. I think the American people are so incredible. And so when I serve, it's not just, the country as like kind of this intangible concept, but my American family, that's who I'm serving is all of my family members out there in all 50 states. And so, I always knew I wanted to give back to them however I could. And that was one way by joining up in the Army. I felt like I could give back.
Okay. So after serving and to present, you're still serving the role as Director of Legislative. So tell us a little bit about your current role at the Navy League. When people say Director of Legislative, some folks may know. I know because I work at the Navy League, but what are some of your roles, your duties as being Director of Legislative?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, what I want to emphasize is that our entire legislative program and all of the policies that we advocate on behalf of, they come from a team of experts that we have in our Maritime Policy Committee and also our Legislative Affairs Steering Committee. These are retired admirals, captains, folks with a tremendous amount of expertise who do copious amounts of research and identify what does America need to be safe and secure in the 21st century. And I think for a lot of us, we lose track of the sight that our security is actually quite perilous. We're one cyber attack away from a very dangerous situation, one errant bullet in Eastern Europe where Russia has invaded Ukraine, one reckless action by China in the South China Sea. These things are very, very serious. And so somebody needs to be out there making sure that we are getting the equipment and the pre-positioned supplies and things of that nature in place so that we are ready for worst case scenario. And let's hope it never comes to that. So we put together what's called our Maritime Policy Statement. It comes out every 2 years. We put it out in conjunction with the seating of each new Congress. So the next one will come out in January of 2023. And it's basically a blueprint saying, look, if we want to have strong maritime forces to ensure that America is safe and secure in the 21st century, here's everything that you need to do. And then we take that up to Capitol Hill. And our primary job, this is what I really want to emphasize to your viewers and your listeners, is education. That's our primary job. We go up and we talk to members of Congress because, believe it or not, not everyone got elected because they're experts on the Navy and the Marine Corps and the sea services. Some of them got elected because they want to improve our education system. Some of them got elected because they want to improve our healthcare system. That's all wonderful. But they need somebody to come and explain to them, listen, here's what the actual strategic situation is. Here's what the threat environment is in the South China Sea, the Arctic Sea lanes, in the Baltics, whatever the case may be. And here's what America needs. And that's our primary job, is we just go up there and we explain, here's how we came to these facts. Here's how we came to these policy prescriptions. And here's what you need to know. If you care about American national security, which all of our members do, then here's what you really need to focus on during your 2 years in Congress. And, who knows, maybe it'll expand into a longer career. But at least for the next 2 years, here's what we need to deal with. And that's I think, my primary job as Director of Legislative Affairs at the Navy League.
Okay. So that's his daytime. That's his daytime job. That's what he do, and do it very well. Do it very well.
Thank you. I do my best.
But now, him and his wife also is in their community as well. So Luke has put together a fundraiser that he has going on to raise money for, like he spoke about, the 4 refugees that he has been servicing, has been a service to. So can you speak to the viewers about that and how they can help you reach your goal and what actually they need, the need is for them and why you're doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me tell you just a little bit about the background of these particular Afghan refugees. Now, for the sake of their safety and the safety of their families, some of which are still back in Afghanistan, I'm not going to use their real names, but they are fascinating and amazing people. There's one young woman who was a police officer in Afghanistan. She deliberately chose that career to prove to her community that a woman can do anything. Bear in mind that before her generation, that would have been unthinkable to have a female police officer, but obviously dangerous occupation, difficult occupation. She said, I'm going to do it because I want everyone to see that a woman can do this job. I mean, that's absolutely remarkable. There's another woman whose husband worked in the American embassy. He actually is still in Afghanistan now. She and the children were able to come to the United States in the midst of kind of the confusion that occurred during the evacuation. They got separated, very tragic story. He's still in Afghanistan, but she was able to come here. They worked closely with American diplomats. They've done all types of interesting missions over there. There's another young man who's become somewhat of a community leader, community organizer among Afghan refugees here in the United States. He's one of these folks that's benefiting from this fundraiser. I'll tell you right now, I can see a future for him in politics. I mean, he is just that good. He cares. He works hard. He just has tireless dedication to his community. And it's inspiring to see what he's doing. I feel like, frankly, I'm a slouch when I look at how much he's doing to help folks out. I mean, it's just remarkable, very motivational. And then there's another family that's settled here. The kids are going to school. They're very, very happy. They're just working on their TPS in permanent status for refugees. And so that's one of the things we're raising money for. So in terms of what all this money is actually going towards, it's primarily 2 things. One is legal services. With the large influx of refugees, not only from Afghanistan, but now also from Ukraine, a lot of the law firms that were doing pro bono work and things of that nature, they are just up to their eyeballs in work. And we understand that, they just don't have the bandwidth to take on more cases. So we're going to have to hire some folks to do some of this legal work. That's a big part of what the fundraiser is for. The other thing is for rental assistance for some of the folks. There's at least one individual whose circumstances are a little unusual, so he can't go through the typical agencies. So we're just trying to help him out with his rent. And then the other thing is that if any extra money is collected, we're going to help them get things like used cars, new computers. We were lucky enough to link up with some folks, some nonprofits that provide used computers, which are great. They do most of what these folks need, but they're a little bit slow, a little bit old. If possible, we'd like to get them something new. And so things of that nature. Again, primarily, it's for legal and rental assistance. But if there's anything additional, then it's going to go towards things like used cars, maybe new beds, new furniture, or things of that nature. So that's primarily what the fundraiser's for.
Okay. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate just for a little bit. So what compelled you to take on the Afghanistan refugees? But then when someone can possibly say, well, we have homelessness here, right in our own country that we need to tackle as well. What would you say to that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I guess I would say 2 things. One, when it comes to the homeless population in America, this is not my area of expertise in terms of policy, but there's definitely work to be done with mental health care, with treating drug addiction, and with affordable housing. So these are not necessarily, refugee cases where these folks just need, a certain amount of money to elevate their situation. These are policy areas that we need to focus on at the local, state, and federal level. Why is there not affordable housing in so many of our cities? What happened to that? That's a huge problem. Why do so many folks not have access to mental health care? Why do we have such a drug epidemic, opioids and things of that nature? So those policies go far beyond just raising money. Again, for the Afghan refugees, it's primarily just, hey, you need some help with rent, you need some help for some legal stuff. We could raise some money and help you out with that. For folks that are homeless, this is a big systemic issue across the country that requires a lot more policy work than just raising some money. The second thing I mentioned is particularly for these folks coming from Afghanistan, please bear in mind, these folks risk their lives to help our soldiers and our diplomats over there. I mean, my God, we owe them a lot. We really do. And so, when I saw that, some of these folks are starting to fall through the cracks, because again, all of the agencies that help refugees are just overloaded. When I saw that, I felt like I really needed to do whatever I could, which again, work locally. You can't help everybody, but help who you can. These 4 individuals, I think I can help. I want to take the time to help them because of what they've done in support of our service members and our diplomats overseas.
Awesome. And can you tell us about how can my viewers contribute? What platform it's on? Guys, I'll make sure that I put it down below so you guys contribute. Anything is good, from $1 to $100. Anything is good, because at the end of the day, we all need help with something. So if you have something lying around, please donate. It doesn't matter where a person comes from. At the end of the day, they are God's children, and we're all humans. So we want to make sure that we help Luke out, him and his wife, with this fundraiser, because it's very important.
Absolutely. So the platform is DonorBox, and I assume you'll put the link in the description here. So basically, we're just trying to raise money and help them out. Any amount that you can give would be much appreciated. As Luana said, it can be $1, it can be whatever. I mean, anything, it would be a blessing to help these folks out. Again, we're edging closer and closer to our goal. We've had a lot of wonderful contributions from a lot of wonderful people. So don't feel like it's all on you. I think that's, one of the things that really hurts folks when it comes to charitable work and volunteering is when you feel like, oh, there's so much that needs to be done. I might as well just kind of throw my hands up. $1 is better than nothing. So by all means, as Luana was saying, if you can help, please do. If not, thoughts and prayers for these folks.
Is it just monetary needs right now, or is there other things that can be donated to them?
So actually, one of the things that I've discovered since working with these folks is that there are organizations that are doing tremendous work when it comes to, again, things like furniture, computers, stuff like that. So, setting folks up with housing, although, again, these agencies don't pay indefinitely. Eventually, these folks need help with their rent if they were not able to get a job yet, or things of that nature. So when it comes to a lot of the donations for kind of more tangible stuff, I'm very happy to say there's a lot of agencies already doing that. In terms of this stuff, again, just paying for a lawyer or paying rent, that's just kind of monetary. And so, at this point, we're mostly just doing kind of a monetary fundraiser.
Okay. So he need ching-ching. He need dollar bills, y'all. But so let me ask you this. What have been some of your biggest accomplishments that you have accomplished in your life?
Well, I'm going to say first and foremost, meeting and marrying my wonderful, beautiful wife. I still don't know how I pulled that off. I'm lucky I got her when I did, because I don't know. But that was by far the greatest accomplishment of my life. I mean, definitely the two of us, we're just made for each other, and we're very, very happy together. And I think we're going to be very, very happy for a very long time. After that, I would say commissioning in the U.S. Army was a very, very proud moment for me. Certainly taught me a tremendous amount about not only commitment and dedication to duty, but also servant leadership. One of the things they teach you is if you're going to be a good leader in the Army or in the military in general, that means you're good to your soldiers. That's the most important part of being a good leader, is what's called soldier care. If you don't care about your soldiers, you're going to be a terrible leader. You can be very smart. You can be very talented. You can be very capable. But guess what? You're going to be just awful when it comes to trying to get your platoon or your company or whatever the case may be to do anything. So that was a big, big accomplishment for me as well. I'd say those two are probably my two proudest moments.
Awesome. Okay. So what have been your biggest obstacle that you had to get over?
So again, I'm going to go ahead and try and be honest here, because I hope this actually helps your viewers and listeners. The biggest obstacle in my life, and I think some folks might relate to this, has been myself. When I was younger, I dealt with pretty serious anger and depression issues. I think a lot of folks deal with that, but it took me a very long time to recognize that I needed some form of help. And so if you are dealing with emotional issues that are beyond your control, by all means, please don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. These are things that I dealt with for far too long, thinking that I didn't need any assistance. That's not true. We all need help at some point or another. Please get the help that you need, whether that's through therapy or through a church group or through, whatever means works for you. That was the biggest obstacle. I've become happier, more productive, just better all around. And so in my younger years, it was a big obstacle because that anger or depression or whatever the case, it gets in the way of everything. It makes life far more difficult. And that's a huge obstacle. So if you're out there and you're dealing with any types of similar issues, please, by all means, go out and get the help you need, because it has transformed my life. I can say that for sure.
And you know what? You saying that, I would never think that you dealt with, especially anger issues, because Luke is one of the nicest guys you can meet, and you always have uplifting words to say, even when the employees is like, nah, we in an uproar. Here come Luke, happy go lucky. Well, I'm just saying that, LaWanya. And I'm like, okay, imagine that. So whatever you did, the help you got, it really came through totally.
Well, I think it was Robin Williams who said that everyone is fighting an invisible battle that you know nothing about. So have some compassion for folks. I'm paraphrasing. That's not the correct quote, but everybody is dealing with something that the rest of us know nothing about. So keep that in mind.
Yes, awesome. Well, I love it. When we close to ending, I got a story to tell y'all about Luke, and this is funny.
All right, I'm not sure whether you should believe it or not. I'm going to wait until I hear the story.
Well, sitting here today, we almost done. Sitting here today, do you believe God was with you through your whole life journey?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And this was another question that I had difficulty answering, because like faith, telling folks that God has been relevant to your life and involved in your life is just difficult to explain. It's hard to put it into words. I can say honestly that I look back over my life and I can see clearly why things happened the way they did, how they brought me to where I am today. I also feel confident in saying I am where I'm supposed to be right now at this moment in my life. And there's no way I would have found that on my own if God had not been guiding me. I've been unbelievably blessed. I'm not saying this as a joke when I say I don't understand why I've been so blessed. I honestly don't think I deserve it. I mean, I've just been so lucky in so many things. Like I said, it's very difficult to put into words, but I have no doubt whatsoever that God has been in my life. God has been looking out for me. And I'm just so grateful. One more motivating factor in trying to give back is, God, I don't know why you've been so good to me, but I'll try and be worthy of it.
Yes. So in you saying that, what would your self now tell your younger self back then? What advice would you give your younger self?
Ooh, so young Luke, I don't know if he'd listen to anything. So I would tell him, I don't know. I would tell him, like I said earlier, definitely seek out the help that you need. But one thing that I would say that's changed my life in the last few years, I've heard this quote throughout my life, but it didn't really sink in until recently. And this quote's been attributed to a few people. I think Mahatma Gandhi was the first person to say it, but I'm not sure. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Be the change that you want to see in the world. I've always heard that, and I never really thought about it, and it didn't really sink in. But if you change yourself, you will be amazed at how that ripples out through your family, your friends, through the community. It really does make an enormous difference. If you change the way you interact with people, if you change the way you support people, if you change the way you live your life, the things you prioritize, all these things, it really has a tremendous impact. And I know that so many of us, we want to go out and change the world. That's a wonderful thing, but change yourself and you will see just the positive effects of that in so many ways that you never imagined. So that's the advice that I would give to not so young Luke, super young Luke, I don't know what to tell him. I'm not sure. But to maybe me over the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, that's the advice that I would give myself. And that's certainly the advice I would give your viewers as well.
Okay, so what is next? What is next for Luke? What is next?
Well, a lot more local action. One of the things I'm also doing that I really, really enjoy and I would encourage everyone to do is voter registration events with the League of Women Voters. They are a nonpartisan organization. They just do fantastic work educating folks on democracy, on government, getting folks to get registered, getting folks to vote. Another thing is advocacy, just kind of at the local level. I'm also doing some work with a group here in Virginia that's trying to get some better campaign finance laws put in place for Virginia. Again, pretty nonpartisan stuff. And so, again, I've always focused at the national level. I think a lot of folks do. We think we have to change the whole country, and, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But look locally, look at what your city council is doing. Look at what your school board's doing. Look at what your state legislature is doing. There are ways to get involved with those things and really make a big change because not enough folks are active when it comes to that stuff. So just you and a few friends could potentially make some real big changes in your local community. And so that's something I'm going to be focused on. I hope a lot more folks will get involved as well. Okay,
I'm gonna throw this bonus question in, and we're gonna wrap up. Do you think you ever run for office, whether senator? Your local, federal. No, seriously. Do you think that's where your career is really going to take you in years to come?
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. At heart, I'm a policy nerd, and I love to educate elected officials on policy, on things that matter. When it comes to campaigning, when it comes to all the other things that go into being an elected official, you don't get to spend a lot of time doing that stuff, actually. It's a sad reality of the job. You've got a lot of fundraising to do. You got a lot of hands to shake. You got a lot of publicity events. You got all these types of things. My heart really lies with digging into the books, digging into the research. What do we need to fix this, to make life better for these folks, to free up some resources to do X, Y, and Z? That's what I really, really enjoy. And so for that reason, I think I'll probably continue doing stuff in legislative affairs and not necessarily running for office, because my passion really lies in the actual policy making, the nerdy stuff. That's where you'll probably find me.
Well, that's great too, because you're still making change throughout. Okay, so in saying that, I thank you for coming on. Can you leave my viewers, especially my young folks and my older folks, with some word of wisdom?
Yeah, I guess I would tell you that, going back to my first adjective is try not to rush yourself. You have time. Build with a sense of what you're going to be doing over the next couple of years and even beyond that. One of the things that I've dealt with, again, is just being very, very impatient. And now I'm starting to realize that if you really want to make change, you got to start off small and start building from somewhere. So for all those folks out there that were like me, that want to go out and change the world, there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to build slowly. Take your time. Don't wear yourself out. Don't burn yourself out. Start slowly and build from there. And I hope that helps folks.
Okay, thank you. So do you have any questions for me before we sign out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you've probably discussed this with your viewers before, but YBC, I think, is such a fascinating concept. I love the platform that you've created here. And going back to the earlier question, I wish I had known more about what folks were going through during the pandemic. You seem to understand that. And I think that was the impetus for creating this. How were you, so aware of the fact that folks were going through such difficulties and they needed a platform like this during the pandemic?
I wasn't.
Oh.
I wasn't aware. It was out of obedience. I was being obedient to what God wanted me to do. And that's how this platform got birthed out. And it was a struggle. I wanted to quit every day. But I couldn't, because as I talked to more and more people, they encouraged me to keep going. So not only did I get to meet and talked to amazing people. But at the same time, I was getting encouraged. I was getting fed. I was being strengthened because social media is not my forte. And I had a great tribe of women that helped me out, kept me going. Lou, you need to do this. Let me show you how to do it. I'm numbers. And I tell anybody I'm numbers. I'm finance, but it was out of obedience. And at that time, and I'm still am in the season of just being obedient and listening to what God has to say and where he want to move me, and me not be afraid to move. I'm still slow. I'm that little engine, that putt. I'm getting a little faster, but I'm still putting along. But I'm still moving and growing into my platform. But I have met some amazing folks that just spoke life into my platform and came on my platform and really was honest and shared their stories. So that's what kept me going. I didn't know what people was going through. Mine was targeting youth. Adults had to say so, but I think the youth was silent or being silenced at that time during COVID-19, and the platform just opened up to them to come on and speak about how they was feeling. And then everyone that I met that was youth, young adult, they had their own businesses. They was out in the community doing some great work. And I get tired of turning on the TV and all I hear, oh, well, teens is doing this. They're bad. No, I don't believe that. I believe that things happen in their life that make them do what they do. But if you just sit down and talk to them, and if they know that they have a voice and that someone's listening, I think it makes a big difference. So the same way you're advocating for the refugees and, adults and other people that need legal help, I'm advocating for youth and young adults to have a voice, to show that, no, they are our future. They just need the adults to come on board and support.
It's funny, for such a large segment of our population, young people often don't have strong advocates out there pushing for them the way that you're doing. So thank you for doing this. I think this is so important.
Yeah. And then it just started, and God was like, don't limit to just that, because there's adults that's doing excellent work in the community to help out our youth and young adults or help out people, period. So that's where, my platform, and that's where it's growing. It's for everyone. It's just not for people that look like me. It's for everyone. I believe everybody have a voice, no matter what nationality you come from. I believe everybody have a story, everybody have a voice, and I want to get it out there in the community.
Well, I hope that something I've said today might be helpful to some of your young viewers, because the generation coming up now has a lot to fix. I'm sorry to say, my generation, we didn't do as well as we thought we were going to do. We left you with a whole bunch of problems. So you've got a tough road. We're here to help, but keep my fingers crossed that your generation can solve a lot of problems that we did not.
Yeah, they will. I believe they will. But in saying that, thank you for coming on, taking out your time. Tell your wife thank you for allowing you to come on and share what you guys are doing. I'm going to make sure that I put your fundraiser on all my platforms.
Thank you.
Guys, the need. He explained it. You know what he needs. I'm going to put his information out there. So even if you want to contact him to see what more can be had or what can be done, or if you're just excited about legislative and you want to learn more.
More policy nerds. We need more policy nerds always.
Is your guy to talk to. But before we go, I just have a quick story. So we have a convention that we do in different, parts of the country. So we're staff. We go out and support our council and our convention and our meetings. So, Luke booked his ticket and was leaving the day before us, right? So he was all bummed out like, Oh no, everybody's staying the Sunday. Oh no, I'm leaving Saturday. Well,
I know where this story is going.
so hey, well, okay, you want to stay the Sunday? We booked you the Sunday. Cool. Luke, that was the worst. You would never do that again, would you?
I thought there was going to be a ton of work left, and I was leaving early, and I was going to leave everyone holding the bag, and I felt so bad because I didn't want to be that guy. There was nothing to do. Oh my God, that Sunday was so boring. I was just waiting for my flight, which wasn't until like 9 o'clock that night. Yes, no, I'm sorry. I'm never doing that again.
He was like, oh man. And we sitting there looking at him like, if we can get on the flight on Saturday, all of us would have been like, oh, we would take the flight.
That was a rookie mistake. Believe me, that won't happen twice.
And then his plane got delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed.
Oh my God. Well, that area, I never realized there's just storms rolling through there like every 6 hours. I don't know how any planes come in or out of that particular part of the country. So I can't complain because, I mean, we got out safely. It's just storm central down there.
I seen Luke the next week. I said, Luke. He said, never again.
No.
I won't do that again. He said, no. He said, never again.
You can write that down. Yeah, no, not going to happen. Not at all. Not a chance.
But in saying that, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for joining. I'm going to make sure you guys get all this information and the fundraiser. Please, once again, please donate. I don't care how much. Money is money. A little bit will help a lot. So just whatever you have, please find it in your hearts to donate to these 4 amazing people to help them become the citizens that they need to be in this country. So in saying that, have a great evening. And tomorrow I will be back with another fabulous interview. I'm doing a double hitter this week, so just stay tuned. So see you later. Stay on, Luke. Bye-bye.